Confusion, chaos, commotion at PDP headquarters today as factions and groups clash. And the CBN governor, Mr. Yemi Cardoso, says Nigeria's foreign reserve has risen to 46 billion. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I am Sean Okimale right here in Abuja. What a day it's been. A day of smoke, tear gas and confusion that ran the air today at the headquarters of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, a party that elsewhere in this country has now turned into a party of commotion, a party of what has looked like a disaster. Right there on your screen. We'll be dissecting all of that for you. I'm bringing you up to speed with everything, the way it happened, with all of the natural sound that you need to hear, and for you to be right in the driver's seat as far as all the information is concerned in what happened today. We'll be dissecting and unraveling everything for you. But first, let's tell you about some good news as far as the economy is concerned. Mr. Yemi Cardoso today has said that the foreign reserves of Nigeria have now climbed above 46 billion US dollars. According to him, that marked the country's highest reserve level since about 70 years ago, about 2018, since we experienced such a rise. He said these are the, when he was attending the Monetary Policy Department 20th Anniversary Colloquium in Abuja. The Central Bank governor is optimistic about the trajectory of the nation's economy. Take a listen to the Central Bank governor, Yemi Cardoso.
Foreign reserves have risen to $46.7 billion as of November 2025. I think we deserve a round of applause. This provides 10.3 months of import cover in goods and services and is the highest amount that we have achieved since 2018. This is supported by sustained inflows and renewed investor participation across various asset classes. The accretion also reflects improved oil receipts, stronger balance of payments, and renewed foreign portfolio inflows.
All right, that is Dr. Mohammed Abdullahi, a deputy governor of the CBN in charge of Economic Policy Directorate, who represented Mr. Yemi Cardoso at that event. That takes us to the moment where we need to now give you all of your stories that we've been following for you on your political roundup.
The Senate has asked President Bola Tinubu to direct the Nigerian Armed Forces to immediately recruit at least 100,000 additional personnel to strengthen the fight against worsening insecurity across the country. The resolution followed a motion of urgent national importance raised by Senator Abdullahi Yahya of Kebbi North, who reported a recent attack by terrorists on communities in Kebbi South Senatorial District, who invaded a girls' secondary school, abducting 25 students and severely injuring the school principal. Describing the incident as a slap on the face of our nation, Senator Yahya lamented the repeated attacks on schools, which not only endanger citizens but deter girls from seeking education. In a new tweet to the growing call for Nnamdi Kanu's release, a group of 44-7 federal lawmakers from different regions in Nigeria, both north and south, have written a 2-page letter and resolution to President Bola Tinubu, urging the president to invoke his constitutional powers to release Nnamdi Kanu from detention and convene an all-inclusive political roundtable with all parties to the challenges to find a lasting solution via a political window. The lawmakers, under the aegis of concerned federal lawmakers, in a letter addressed to the president, urged him to, as soon as practicable, direct the Attorney General of the Federation to exercise his constitutional powers and discontinue the prosecution of Nnamdi Kanu. Meanwhile, the House has passed a resolution to investigate the establishment and funding of the Museum of West African Arts located in Benin City, the Edo state capital. This resolution comes on the heels of a protest which forced the indefinite postponement of the opening of the museum last week. The motion was sponsored by some lawmakers from Edo State who raised concerns around the governance framework of the museum, which seems to place control in the hands of private and foreign interests. Meanwhile, the bill to reduce the age for persons seeking to be governor or senator from 35 to 30 years has scaled second reading in the House. Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State says his government will ensure completion of all ongoing capital projects before embarking on new ones in the 2026 fiscal year. Governor Buni disclosed this during the presentation of the state's 2026 budget to the State House of Assembly. The governor presented an estimate of 515.5 billion naira for the 2026 fiscal year. Lastly, Governor Basani of Kaduna State is calling for urgent action to tackle the persistent financial exclusion affecting millions of people across the northern region, stating the region has enough human resources to solve its developmental challenges. The governor made the remark when he received leaders of the Arawa Consultative Forum at the Government House, Kaduna. He calls on all stakeholders to collaborate in scaling up grassroots financial education and expanding banking networks.
You're now up to speed with your political roundup stories. Get a seat, and everyone, let me bring you up to speed with what really happened today, and I'm going to give you blow by blow on what really transpired, what went down today at the popular Wadata Plaza, where the People's Democratic Party headquarters is sited. So, if anybody say they didn't know that this was going to happen, that would be a lie. Because in my conversation with Senator Anyanwu, I asked him, I said, if you are planning to resume office, and I anticipated that the new executive of the party, as elected at the Ibadan controversial convention, will also make an attempt in arriving. And I envisaged that this violence was going to happen. But again, we saw the Tanimu Turaki and his colleagues who went to the police station yesterday and said, look, there's a possibility of violence that could happen today because they have meetings. Then we heard the announcement from the Samuel Anyanwu group who said they have a NEC meeting and a Board of Trustees meeting today. This was a disaster that was waiting to happen. Anybody who didn't know that this was going to happen, I say again, it's a lie. Now, let me take you from the very top. It was the Samuel Anyanwu group who first arrived on the scene. They arrived and they looked set to commence the proceedings of the day. They've made an announcement that they were going to hold a NEC meeting, and a BOT meeting will precede the NEC meeting. And this was going on until shortly we saw the arrival of Mr. Tanimu Turaki, SAN, who is now the newly elected chairman of the PDP from the Oyo Convention, where those two sides are not agreeing on what exactly is the status of the party. Is there a Samuel Anyanwu or Mohammed-led PDP, or is there a Tanimu Turaki led side of the PDP? These are issues. Controversial issues between both parties, matter that is in court as we speak. But as we hear, of course, Anyanwu has been speaking on the NEC meeting and what exactly they were intending. I don't know if that soundbite of when Samuel Anyanwu arrived on the scene, if that is available. This was preceding when Turaki others arrived at the Wadata Plaza. All right, that's at the entrance of the party office earlier today. The police will say a little smoke. There are people already shedding tears there because of the effect of tear gas. That was at the initial stage. The violence had not really erupted there. Let me take you to the moment where Governor Bala Mohammed, Governor Sheyi Makinde all arrived on the scene. And perhaps they were being stopped at some point from entry, but eventually they gained entry into the PDP headquarters. All these were going on until a full-scale tear gas drama erupted. And when that happened, some of the governors couldn't escape it too. And some of the leaders of the party were caught in that fracas, or, well, what has become a major crisis that led some of the party supporters and those who were there fleeing the scene. The pro-Makinde national chairman of the group, led by Tanimu Turki, came out, and you could see him being flanked by the governor of Bauchi, governor of Oyo State, Sheyi Makinde, and he was furious. And part of the statement is asking President Trump to come to the aid of Nigeria and aid of Nigeria's democracy, because what, according to him, is going on is a disaster waiting to happen. Take a listen to Tanimu Turki, SAN.
They have their gasos and their gas even our governors who under the Constitution. I was just talking to some of our boys who are shot. So, some of our boys, some of our members who have come here to attend meetings have been lawfully called, have been shot by the police. So we will be now calling on the international community. I want to call on President Trump. What is at stake is not just genocide against Nigerian Christians. He should come and save democracy in Nigeria. Democracy is under threat. I'm calling on all other developed nations, all advanced democracies, come and save Nigeria, come and save democracy. Because I cannot understand how a certain minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be leading towards armed tours, and then with the active connivance of the police to come and create mayhem here. I have said it, we are willing to lay down our lives to protect our office, to protect our democracy, to protect our mandate. So Nigerians, you are watching what is happening. International community, you are seeing the threat that Nigerian democracy is. Come and save us. We have been molested in spite of our humility in time and whatever as leaders in our own right to our chairman. It is for the nation to gaze on the democracy. I would advise the president to not keep people who are no longer used to managing the political space, managing our diversity, creating unity and governance. We don't want to cause trouble to anybody. Yes, we are in the opposition. We should be allowed to survive.
As these was going on, shortly we saw the arrival of the Minister of the FCT, Yensam Wike. As soon as they arrived at the PDP head office, a lot of men, those who were waiting, had been expecting him to alight from the vehicle. But we understand that he was there for about almost half an hour without descending until he exited. Today, perhaps what is more intriguing is the fact that there was a counter-expulsion. You remember the expulsion that happened on last Saturday? Who were those that were expelled? Wike, Fayose, Samuel Ayanwu, and about 7 or 8 others were expelled from Ibadan. But in Abuja today, it was a counter-expulsion. You remember the man who affirmed the expulsion of Wike, Fayose, and the rest? It was also part of the casualty of expulsion today. And this is how it all happened. So we have Governor Seyi Makinde expelled from the PDP, Governor Bala Mohammed expelled from the PDP, and several others are expelled today. Let me allow you to hear how the counter-expulsion happened at the Wadata house.
NEC approved the expulsion of the following: 1. Adolfo Swabali. 2. Olabode George. 3. Benobi. 4. Kabiru Tamil Suraki, SN. 5. Bala Mohammed. 6. Oluseyi Makinde. 7. Dauda Lawal. 8. Tafik Aragbaja. 9. Sotoji Koshode. 10. Okechukwu Bechina Daniel. 11. Wayikoro Daniel. 12. Mohammed Kadede Suleiman. 13. Emmanuel Ogidi. 14. Suleiman Adamu Boga. 15. Omar Sani. 16. Odom Emmanuel. 17. Emmanuel Enedon. These who have been expelled from our party based on anti-party activities, disobedience of court judgments and order, and causing disaffection in the party. We say NEC acknowledges the anxieties among members, but assures the party faithful that these decisions are aimed at stabilizing and strengthening the PDP. The NEC affirms the era of indiscipline is over. The PDP will not bow to lawlessness or personal ambition. With unity, discipline, and renewed purpose, the PDP will rebuild stronger and restore public confidence ahead of the next electoral cycle.
All right. Too many drama for a day. This kind of drama, you need to spread it across a month so that you take it one after the other. But when you serve us a drama that you have to binge watch, it's something that will take us some kind of discussion. So let's get to bring one of the characters at the center of it all. Is one of, now, how do I refer to it? PDP just makes life difficult for you as a journalist. So try to tread carefully within the legal waters. So a factional national publicity secretary of the PDP, Ini Emebawang, is live for us here in our studio. Thanks so much for joining us.
So who is the factional public secretary of the other side?
It's up to you guys to resolve.
No, so because for there to be a faction, there must be two.
Yeah.
And which clearly shows that there's absolutely no function. I forwarded to you letters from INEC refusing, and you saw the reasons. And so there's no faction. You just have people who clearly, you see, in democracy, majority will have their way and minority will have their say. But what you're having now is a minority trying to impose its will on the majority. You saw, is that a NEC meeting? You saw that. And so if you look at that, every NEC meeting must be monitored by INEC. And it's a very shameful, it's a pity that this is happening at this time. After 6 election cycles, democratic consolidation ought to be. Democratic norms should be valued. It should become a part of our way of life. But incidentally, it looks like with every election cycle, it's getting worse. So I need to bring to your attention that for a faction to exist, there must be 2 broad sides having splits completely. Here, that's not what's happening. You saw how they tried to impersonate the BOT. You saw how 14 out of 18 people signed the document suspending people. And thereafter, those who were suspended, even if you're going to take along the chronological review, those who were suspended. So suspended people now are attempting to suspend those who suspended them. I always
expelled, actually.
No, first, suspended. The first one was suspended. They now met to suspend. You know, so I think they allow the main body to set the trajectory and they attempt to copy. So suspended people now attempt to suspend. Then expelled people. You know, if an association of expelled people now attempts to expel. And documents like that got to them, and they would never show it.
Yeah, Ini, you will pardon me, please, and let me use the language of factionalization for the sake of safety and for the sake of being politically correct for tonight. Just a moment. No, you're a lawyer, so you understand what I'm talking about. And some of us have been around for a while to understand some of these intricacies. Tomorrow, you people will say it's a family problem. When the lawsuit comes, it comes on the media organization as a private entity bearing the legal costs. So pardon us to call you factional for tonight. Just bear it. And when you guys resolve all of your issues, then we can now know what to call. But I mean, it's very confusing and it's actually very tooth-aching when one had to deal with some of the intricacies. So you emerged from Ibadan.
Yeah.
Alongside the likes of Tanimu Turaki, and those who did not attend, the likes of Samuel Anyewu, who says, whatever you guys did in Ibadan was more or less a Christmas carol and a jamboree. That's how he described it. There is a legal confusion, and there is a cloud that is hovering over that convention, which will make it, whether registered historically in the history books of the People's Democratic Party or something that will easily be erased forever in our political history, such an elective convention that happened. A lot of the governors were objecting to some of the decisions made there. How does that make the party look?
Excellent question. The first thing is from the filings in court. INEC has not denied being given notice of that. And the Electoral Act posits that it is compulsory to give notice, but makes it discretionary for INEC to attend. That's the law.
But let's
Sub 1 says you shall. Sub 2 says INEC may, with notice or not, meaning that they can reply to you that we would come. They may not reply to you, we would come. The word may makes it discretionary. Now, but INEC does not deny notice. They have filed the notices we sent to them, signed by Anyanwu, then as secretary, and Damagun, then as chairman. There's no dispute about that.
Let me ask you. Just a moment. Let's lay this to rest. And I know that your ultimate allegiance as a lawyer who took a bow before the Supreme Court of Nigeria, and you took an oath to respect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the oath of allegiance that which you made to the practice. The fact that all of these conundrum and the legal umpires that your party is cut itself in, the first in the fact that there are whatever happened in Ibadan was backed by a court order compared to 2 substantive judgments of court. How do you defend such a thing?
Now, it is not the fault of the litigants that the jurisprudence and practice allows for court of coordinate jurisdictions to have different orders. It's not. Now, as ministers in the Temple of Justice, we realize and we recognize the hierarchy of courts. and we recognize the position of the Supreme Court as the apex court. And we also know that when this court of first instance give judgment, it will end upstairs. So you go to court to say, look, these are my complaints, and the court gives an order. And you know that even the least order of a court is not made in vacuo. It cannot be made to nothing and must be respected. So the court says don't do, we paused. The court says do, we continue. Don't do, we paused. The last order we received said go ahead with the convention. So the Supreme Court would, all of those things you do know.
So let me ask you, who owns the jurisdiction? What, in the hierarchy of our court, what court owns the jurisdiction over a party national affairs? Is it a state high court or a federal high court?
First, no court has jurisdiction over internal affairs of the party. That's the Supreme Court position. No. So
you're basing that.
Hold on. You asked the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So no court has that jurisdiction. But if a court, suo motu, or after argument, assumes jurisdiction, we respect the court. So the issue of jurisdiction will be an issue of ruling or judgment. So the Federal High Court, two of the Federal High Courts, assumed jurisdiction and gave judgments. The court in Ibadan assumed jurisdiction. It's not my duty to determine. It's the duty of lawyers to canvass arguments. But the court will give ruling. So it was the duty of the court, my lords, in their position, assumed jurisdiction and heard the matter. It is now the duty of the Court of Appeal to sit on appeal over all those judgments and agree or disagree with my lords. And it gets to the Supreme Court. And what I'm saying is all of these would enrich our jurisprudence. But it is sad on the political end. While it would enrich the jurisprudence, because you know you only make law on what you can anticipate.
What we enrich, forum shopping is a disastrous legal scenario at which every lawyer should abhor.
So who is forum shopping?
And I'm asking, is your members of your party? If there is an establishment of a particular matter in a higher court and another person goes to maybe a court of coordinate jurisdiction on same matter, isn't that forum shopping?
Are the parties the same? Is the party who got the judgment in the other court the same with this?
But the question is that if a matter is subsisting in the federal high court, then you now go to a state high court to be able to lay a similar matter, perhaps not of the same subject matter, but similar in nature. What does that mean? Isn't that forum shopping?
It is not. The first thing is are the claims the same? One claim was against INEC, another went to enforce his fundamental human rights.
What is the ultimate goal? Stop or
No. The ultimate goal
ahead?
is that the court should interpret, first, whether he has a locus to bring this case. Number two, if I have a locus, do you have jurisdiction? If you have jurisdiction, can you grant orders?
But in all of this, how messy do you think these have become?
Sure.
Our courts have now been made to look like institution that cannot be respected just because you politicians cannot put your house in order or cannot coordinate yourself. That is what is making our nation look bad. For example, a politician in Nigeria is asking the leader of another country to come and intervene in Nigeria's political party internal affairs. How messy do you think that could?
No, because it looks now that the only way this federal government listens is when Trump tweets. So you do what works. If you become deaf to me speaking here, and I know that the only way I can get you to understand what I'm saying is to knock this table, and I knocked the first time it works, I'll knock the second time, I'll knock the third time. Because, going back to it, Sean, this is not the first time we have judicialized politics. The weak institutions that happened in the First and Second Republic were still the same things that led to the end of the Republic. It is playing out again now. Sure, when political matters come, which is why the judges should adhere to stare decisis, remove yourself from internal political matters. What were the things that led to the end of the First and Second Republic? Weak institutions, electoral institutions, judiciary, compromised security, an appetite of the ruling party for large-scale prebendalism. The economy was weak, insecurity was there, and you now had a political party that wanted to encroach into the terrains of other people. What is happening now? Clear case. And which is why we are warning. It's not about PDP. It's about democracy in heaven's name.
Just give me a moment. We need to go on a break. But when we come back, we've talked about the background. Well, there is a precursor to all of this. What happened today? What about it? It says something every member of the political party called PDP should be proud of. Or if you are in Nigeria, is this something that we should be proud of? When we now face ourselves, Nigerians tear-gassing each other, members of the same political party, now locking gates against themselves, they will call it family affairs or family problem. Well, this is becoming an absurdity. But we'll be right back after this break, everyone. Join us again. Everyone for staying with us on the program. It's about the People's Democratic Party headquarters drama that we saw today. What is the progress, or where is the party headed from here? It's been a disastrous run in the past weeks, and we've seen a situation where direct, open confrontation, where it degenerated to the point that police had to shoot tear gas to disperse those who are in attendance or those who made it there. Governors of the PDP are one of those calling for President Donald Trump of the United States to come quickly and intervene to rescue Nigeria's democracy. Ini Ememobonga is a new factional National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party and has been speaking with us on the program. Don't forget, yesterday we had a conversation with the factional National Secretary of the PDP, Senator Samuel Ayawu. Thank you so much.
The way you pronounce the factional, you really put the emphasis there.
Yeah. So today's event, you guys knew that this was going to happen, didn't you?
It was anticipated. It was anticipated, I mean, because when light and darkness meet, when right and wrong meet, and which is why we went to the Commissioner of Police. We had a long meeting with him yesterday. We didn't just send a letter, we went there. And he assured us of police cover. And so we said, we're going to have an inaugural meeting. We came in from Ibadan, and we were waiting for others, different people from different places to arrive on Monday. Then we go there on Tuesday. And so we didn't, we saw their notice, and we thought it was a joke, because, I mean, they've been meeting at different places. So why come to meet there now? So we went to the CP and told him, forwarded a letter, additionally referencing the earlier discussion that we had. We are peace-loving people, but we've come to a point where when you see the chairman call for Trump representing America in the international community, remember that democracy was evangelized to us. We did not just sit and accept democracy. It was evangelized. When you look at the third wave democratization theory, Nigeria's democracy falls under that. It has a wave and it has a reverse wave. And unfortunately, the democratization of Nigeria from 1960 through 79, then to now, all fall within this third wave. And the reverse also fell within this third wave. And when you recall that the international community, America, United Kingdom, European Union, played critical roles in evangelizing. What were the key things? Look, human rights would be protected more under democracy. With elections coming in, democratic norms will be entrenched. You have better economy. All of these promises were the baits that were given, not for independence, but for the acceptance of democracy.
So the question is that you knew that this was going to happen. By the way, were you on the part of the darkness that came to meet the light, or you were in the light group?
When you look at the situation, light would always overcome darkness. At the end of the day,
there were two groups. One you identified as darkness, and the other you identified as light.
It's a metaphor, but you can apply it.
So I'm asking you, you are the man.
It's a metaphor.
You are the man with the parable.
But you see, I've sent you letters from INEC rejecting the position of Anyanwu as secretary.
Let's take a look at that letter, like that you sent. But my question was going to be to you, to the fact that when you knew that...
Not new, when you anticipate. Anticipation.
Yeah.
You procrastinate, you think.
Should you have gone ahead? when you know that people were injured today, there are a lot of things that were at stake, and that show of shame, should you have gone there?
So if a thief gives you notice of coming to your house, you run and leave your house and family.
Were those thieves?
I'm just asking. If thieves give you notice that they are coming to your family, what do? You tell the police, I've received this notice, but you stay at home and defend yourself. The Constitution allows you to defend yourself.
So what they were doing, because Mr. Turaki says that they are ready to defend the party with their lives. Are you going to do that too?
If it gets to that point like it is getting, today people could have been killed.
People were injured.
Yes, people were injured. The canisters were shot directly at people. Most of the people who are aged have comorbidities. Some people are asthmatic, some are hypertensive, and you shoot directly at those people. Remember the several cases where people have died from inhaling tear gas? But that happened in a democracy.
Our colleague here at Channels TV was caught in that.
He was shot at directly. The canister, I saw him. So when it gets to the point where it looks as though all the ruling party wants is blood to water democracy, what the chairman is saying and what we are ready is that if it means our blood watering it, then so be it. Because it looks like until blood falls, the president doesn't understand. It looks so because this minister who is at the center of this is an agent of a disclosed principle. And when you look at the law of agency and delegation of authority, you would understand that there is absolutely no way the president, this thing happened less than 400 meters from where the president is. An opposition party being stifled. Almost every opposition party has had one problem or the other, and you can only finger the intended beneficiary. So, Sean, until people stand up and confront these things within the ambit of the law, which is why the chairman is saying we'll do whatever it takes, it would amount to electoral authoritarianism, which is what they are looking for. Where 1 year to an election, everyone knows who will win.
All right, let me take you quickly to those letters. So there was a letter which originated on the 6th of November,
yes,
which is about a few days ago, and that letter was authored, it will be imagined that it was authored by the National Secretary, Samuel Anyanwu, co-signed by him, and the man that's been tagged as the acting national chairman, Alhaji Abdurrahman Mohammed. The letter was written to INEC for a postponement of a PDP Ekiti State Congress and governorship primary. But INEC responded 4 days later, on the 10th, with a rejection because of its lacked compliance with the requirements of the Electoral Act. And you are going to make a point on that.
Now, to validly convene a NEC, you must invite INEC. So if they did not obey this their letter, and they went on to monitor the Ekiti primaries, which power did they use to attempt to convene a NEC and BOT today? And it's clear. So you know who the aggressors are. You clearly know. Your website, your Facebook page carried a quote where Anyanwu is quoted to have said that he invited the police to deal with intruders. So you can clearly see who the aggressors, who the instigators were.
But it doesn't look like INEC has now recognized what happened on Saturday. Maybe their staff are still not working, because Damagun and Anyanwu's names are still evidently on INEC website.
That is simple. You know that, let's assume because INEC did not inform us they were coming to Ibadan. Let's assume without considering that they didn't come. So all of it is that they are waiting. They know that we've all filed our briefs in the Court of Appeal. We filed stay of execution. All of those cases would end at the Supreme Court. And so possibly INEC is waiting for that.
Have you forwarded your reports to INEC?
It's been forwarded. It's been forwarded to them. So let's go back and trace, root of, assuming it was land, let's go back to root of title. That INEC received, duly notified, more than 21 days to the convention, signed by Anyanwu, who then was secretary, and Damagun as national chairman. That notice was received and acted upon. But in between, Anyanwu even wrote applications for things showing that he knew that convention was going to hold. Now, in between, people went to court. Omotosho J's court gave a judgment. INEC is bound to abide by it. And Ibadan High Court gives a ruling. INEC is bound by it. Justice Laifu gives another judgment. INEC is bound by it. And your High Court also gives another judgment. So it is now within the realms of INEC to define and determine within this litany of judgments and rulings which it would.
All right.
Now, when you leave there, that does not invalidate the notice that was given, which was mandatory. The attendance is discretionary. Now, we are fruits of a legal convention which notice had compulsorily been given.
Let me ask you, you escaped the bullets by the whiskers. Your name didn't appear on the expulsion list from the Samuel Anyanwu group. But those who have been expelled today, those groups said whatever they've done is valid, and said Governor Makinde, Governor Bala Mohammed, Chief Bode George, and the rest stand expelled from the party.
The clear answer is this: it's democracy. It's about numbers. Did they form a quorum at the NEC? We formed a quorum at the NWC. The Damagun-led NWC formed a quorum that suspended them. Their resuspension of the other people was after the fact, you saw. So, assuming they're not conceding that you want to help them, the question is, you were first suspended by 14 people, and you now found few people to suspend the rest. Again, we went to Ibadan. A motion was duly moved. What you need for a convention is 2/3 majority. We had in excess of that.
All right. Give me another moment. We need to go on a break, and when we come back, we close the program. Join us again, everyone. So much, everyone, for staying with us. Just before we conclude the program, let's tell you that the Taraba State Governor, Mr. Agbu Kevas, has postponed his planned defection to the APC indefinitely. According to the governor, his decision to suspend his defection is in view of the kidnap of innocent schoolgirls in Kebbi State. He says, in a moment when Nigeria is once again confronted with reality of insecurity, solidarity and compassion must rise above politics. Take a listen to him.
Most vulnerable and precious members of our society is far more important than any political activities or ceremony. Today, my heart is with the families of the abducted children, with the government of the people of Kebbi State, and with every Nigerian who feels weight of this tragic incident, especially the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, as a father, as a leader, and as a governor whose administration has prioritized security, education, and the protection of the vulnerable, I believe it is morally right and nationally responsible to suspend all major political events until the situation receives the urgent attention it deserves. This is not a time for celebration. It is a time for reflection, a time for prayers, and a time for unity and collective action.
Governor Agbu Kefas there. Let's wrap up the program now with Mr. Ememabong. What is the way forward for your party from here?
The way forward is to stick to legality, but within the realms of legality where internal party affairs should be left for the political party and not the courts. In fact, the courts should advise or refer political party matters to ADR. It should be the duty of the courts now to say, look, can you take you encourage negotiation because it's about interest. Most of these things are facts, not law.
There are shaking legal grounds. There are shaking legal grounds upon all of this.
Yeah.
What's your biggest fear? The party not being able to field candidates in coming elections. That's going to be a disaster.
No, not to worry. You see, when you have a 360 look at it dispassionately, you know those who are on the right and those who are on the wrong. But meanwhile, NEC that they purported to convene does not have the powers to take disciplinary actions. It has only the powers to make rules as to discipline. It is only the convention that can discipline.
All right. Ini Ememabong, he was elected in Ibadan as the PDP national Publicity Secretary. Well, thanks so much indeed for your time.
Thank
tonight.
you.
I appreciate it. That's our show for today. Many thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.